A lovely good afternoon to our Times Talk Show family. Welcome to today's show. This is the third episode of the first season for the series Guaranteed to Employability. It has been a long road, a good 3 months so far. I can't wait to delve into today's conversation. One of the main problems we have identified with our youth here in Ghana especially, I would say Africa, but Ghana especially, is that we cry that there are no jobs. I see so many people in the room nodding already, and I'm thrilled to delve into the reality of that statement. Hi, my name is Jacqueline Sarkodie. I'm your host for today. I'm happy to have with me our guests. I'm most honored that you chose to spend your Saturday with us today. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'll first introduce to my immediate right, Mr. James Lar.
Ladies first.
Absolutely, I would honor that. I would introduce Madam Irabna Nikwe. Used to be Hagen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I would let you tell me a little bit of what you do for our audience to get to know you better before we move to Mr. Lar.
Okay. Hi, everyone. As she said, I'm Irabna Nikwe. I work with Lene HR, one of its subsidiaries, HR Focus. I work as the unit head at HR Focus. I'm also an entrepreneur. I have other businesses that I run. I'm a creative at heart as well. I write, sing, sometimes I dabble in design a little. When I need to, I jump on the video editing console and do video editing. My husband and I have a photo and video studio. So whenever there's a need to, jump in, I do. I don't know how to edit pictures. I cannot do it to save my life. Yes. That's a little bit about who I am.
Thank you so much, Rabna. Thank you. Now we have to my immediate right, Mr. James Lar. I'm happy to hear from you as well. Tell us a bit about what you do.
So I'm James Lar. I'm the MD of Lene HR. I'm also I'm a management consultant and a business manager. Currently, I'm focusing on helping female with employability and trying to increase female numbers in employment across the board in Ghana and in Africa. So that is my current focus.
Don't you feel today's divine? I had no idea about this, and I'm really honored that both of you sit in our seat today. As always, we have this little culture that we do on a regular. We have a simple questionnaire for our audience. We want to get to know more about you as our audience as well. So can we move to our screen? I promise it will be fun. If your CV were a person, how would you describe it? Be very honest with me. If your CV was a person, I believe we are all in the space where we have CVs. Okay, good. So anybody to tell me if they were to describe their CV, how they would describe it in just one word?
Hi. I would describe it as versatile.
Versatile. Tell us more about that.
Okay, so I dabble in different things. And so depending on what I'm applying for, what I'm seeking to do with my CV, it looks very different. And so I have different personalities.
Our HR experts, I hope you're hearing this. Okay, I'll follow up with a question on that. Having different personalities for different types of job applications, correct? So we're getting some feedback. Someone said, student. Okay, we'll take that. I'm seeing unreal. Is this person saying that their CV is not who they are? or they are saying wrong things. I'll have to follow up. But I'm seeing Ebefa. How can a CV be Ebefa? Only God knows. Now I want the people to own up. Summarized. Good. Interesting. Development. Youth. Okay. Purposeful. Focus. Well-dressed. A well-dressed CV. I can imagine. So knowing that this is how we personally feel about our own CVs, does it influence our actions in how we approach opportunities, how we approach companies, how we approach our career development? Because if I can realistically tell myself that my CV is only God knows, then I'm aware that it's not in a good position. What actions should I take? We'll come back to that. Our next question: if you are job hunting, or you're a student, or you've ever, been through a job hunt, how did it go, or how is your current job hunting going? The first says, I've had a few interviews, fingers crossed, I'm hoping for the best. Or I've applied to many, but still waiting to hear back. I'm just getting started. This must be a student or a fresh graduate. I've paused. It's been discouraging. Oh dear. I'm currently employed, just exploring. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We have more of those who are currently employed and are not job hunting in this room. So what are you exploring then? Better opportunities? More money?
Always.
Networking, good. More exposure to different spaces. Looking for. The next question. Which of these best describe where you are in your career journey? I just graduated and figuring things out. Or I know what I want, but I'm struggling to get in. I'm mid-search and need direction. I'm pivoting or changing careers. Must be exciting. I'm here to build my network and knowledge. So we have those who are just starting out, those who need a little bit of direction, and those who are here to build their network and knowledge. So I hope this influences a part of our conversation as well. Last one. What's the biggest challenge you've ever faced in your job search? This would allow all of us to participate, not just those who are looking for a job. Getting interview callbacks, those who put in your CVs to hundreds of places and nobody gets back to you. Or not knowing how to tailor your CV for specific roles. Lack of experience in your field. Feeling unsure about what recruiters want. Or managing your confidence and motivation. Okay. You have some feedback. I'm seeing more on the confidence and motivation. Okay. I was expecting to see more of the feeling unsure about what recruiters want. Because I think it's difficult to really predict what an employer would want from you at the point of application.
If you're sure of yourself.
You wouldn't be.
Yeah, you wouldn't be.
That's the confidence we need. That's what we want. We're looking forward to more young people being able to boldly talk about their applications this way. And that's the purpose of this conversation. Great. So that's the end for the icebreaker. Thank you very much. Great. So we will delve right into our conversations. I would want anybody to come forth and talk about their earnest job application experience. I would want to hear from the two perspectives. Those who went through assured, and those who had some hitches. Either it didn't go through or you managed to actually get through in the end. I would love to have these two perspectives. Any volunteers? Any volunteers?
So, my experience has been not really the best, but I'm still hopeful and, I haven't lost hope to see. It's been more on the side of reaching out a lot and just getting a few feedbacks. Not everyone, goes through the process of responding, but the few responses I get don't usually end up being positive, but it hasn't really broken me to see. I'm still hopeful and still, putting in the work.
Great. Can we give our brother... Great. So the other perspective, anybody who has had a recruitment process from start to finish, they managed to to go through it with a good expectation, and all the way to the end, they managed to sail through. Anybody who is willing to give us that perspective?
Yes, so my experience is not for a job for me as a person, but a consultancy my organization was trying to get. Yes, so we saw the application late. We had, say, 5 days to put together, to respond to the call. At the point, I felt we didn't have enough qualifications because it felt like in the space you had a lot of people with PhDs and all, and on my team it was just one person with a PhD, and but then our team lead said, "This is not a Ghanaian organization, so they are not looking out for people with degrees. They are looking for people who are able to deliver." So we put together the call. We applied. Interestingly, we were called were shortlisted for an interview. I picked the time, a very odd time, 5 minutes past 2, because we were asked to pick the time. So I think that caught the attention of the interviewers. They asked why we were selecting such a time. Yes, I was going through something really difficult at the time, because the day after that I lost my grandmom, who was very, very dear to me. But having to rush her to go through dialysis and all, and then come sit for the interview, it was quite refreshing that we were able to answer the questions to their expectation. At the end of the interview, we weren't sure we were going to get the job, but we felt we had responded to their questions really well. So, and this is a Canadian firm. Then somewhere a little past midnight, we got an email that we got the job. And it was a really great experience, because we knew we were competing against about 4 university organizations, from the KNUST, from UG, and from UCC. We were able to sail it through as a private firm. And that felt really great and really fulfilling. Yes.
Now, to somebody who is now starting out, I have a few faces here that I'm hoping they can speak. What are your barriers? What barriers do you see at the point of starting out? Anybody who wants to share their thoughts as well on that?
Okay, so for me, I think it has to do with experience, because I've realized that currently when you see the requirements for certain job positions, you see 5 years experience, 10 years experience, and all that, and you're just wondering, how are you going to gather all that experience before you go in? And so sometimes it makes me think that one of the best ways to get those experiences is go through a long period of having to do either free job or internships to get that experience before you can enter. And yeah, so I think it has to do with experience, gathering experience for whatever field it is.
Great. So I have a brief story that I would want to share with everyone. So run with me as we go. It's a real life story of two entry-level co-workers. Let's just say they're called Thomas and Ezra. Shall we? Ezra and Thomas joined a company together a few months after their graduation from university. After a few years of work, their manager promoted Ezra to a position of senior sales manager, but Thomas remained in his entry-level junior sales officer position. Thomas developed a sense of jealousy and disgruntlement, but continued working anyway. One day, Thomas felt that he could not work with Ezra anymore. He wrote his resignation letter, but before he submitted it to the manager, he complained that management did not value hard-working staff, but only promoted the favored. The manager knew that Ezra worked very hard for the few years he had spent in the company, even harder than Thomas, and therefore he deserved the promotion. So, in order to help Thomas to realize this, the manager gave Thomas a task. Go and find it out if anyone is selling watermelons in town, says the manager. Thomas returned and said, yes, there is someone. The manager asked, how many per kilograms? Thomas drove back to town and asked, and then returned to inform the manager, there are 13.5 Ghana cedis per kilograms. The manager told Thomas, I will give Ezra the same task that I gave you. Please pay close attention to his response. So the manager said to Ezra in the presence of Thomas, go and find out if anyone is selling watermelons in town. Ezra went to find out and on his return said, manager, there's only one person selling watermelons in town. The cost is 45 Ghana cedis, each watermelon, and 32.5 for a half watermelon. He sells them at 13.5 kg when sliced. He has in stock 93 melons, each weighing about 7 kilograms. He has a farm and can supply us with melons for the next 4 months at a rate of 102 melons per day at 27 Ghana cedis per melon. This includes delivery. His melons appear fresh and red with good quality, and they taste better than the ones we sold last year. He has his own slicing machine and is willing to slice for us free of charge. We need to strike a deal before 10 a.m. tomorrow, and we will be sure of beating last year's profits in melons by 332,000 Ghana cedis. This will contribute positively to our overall performance, as it will add minimum of 3.78% to our current overall sales target. I have put this information down in writing and it's available on spreadsheets. Please let me know if you need it, as I can send it to you in 15 minutes. Thomas was very impressed and realized the difference between him and Ezra. So he decided not to resign, but to learn from Ezra's example. I'll say smart choice. Great. So this is the background to why we believe lots of young people who are unemployed are actually unemployed.
Yeah.
It's so easy to call the system out, to call recruiters out, to call HR out. Somebody once told me, HR is not your friend. Do we feel that way? But then, have we sat down to be introspective about why we aren't getting the roles we are applying for? I'll start with you, Mr. Lar. Tell us a bit about the HR perspective. What are recruiters really looking for?
Recruiters are looking for edge rise, period. And also, let me start this way. I like you said your application has been responded, sometimes not so good, but you haven't lost hope. Hope is the word that keeps us going on. Hope is very important. But hope will not put food on your table. Hope is like a promise. It's very important. And I also wanted to say that for us, 5 days is a whole working week. In your case, that's a lot of time to respond to a tender. In our case, because sometimes we just get the information a day before and we have to submit. And sometimes, just like yours, we get the job. But let me say that it is not true that there's no employment in Ghana or in Africa. If you are not employed, it's your choice. Do you agree with me? We just need a mindset shift. There are jobs everywhere. Lene is not only an HR solution firm, we also recruit for organizations. And as I speak, we have more than 100 jobs pending at various categories. So there are jobs. The problem is the misalignment of skills compared to the available jobs. I made a comment that our education, our entire education is reactive. And I actually sat with a professor and we were talking about mental health as a function in HR, like the way we have L&D. L&D means learning and development. Like the way we have employee engagement, we have performance management. And I was asking, why could they not run a course? Because mental health or employee assistance program has become a need and not a want in organizations today. He told me that they're only looking at the markets in order to develop a course. When the market is not asking for it, they don't develop a course because you don't have anybody applying. And that is what our environment has defined. Everybody goes to school to go and learn marketing, accounting, business. So we don't have technical people. We don't have unique skills. We all have similar skills. And that is why the problem is. So our education is reactive, but not reactive enough. It's so slow. In other jurisdictions, because the country itself is planning on what to implement in the next 10, 5, 20 years, they develop a program to train people before the implementation. And they actually experiment with the people on their skills to fit the project that they are implementing. In our case, we have to see the job first and how others are doing well and getting more money in it before we then apply for the program to study. Now, by the time you come out, we have a lot of thousands, 10,000s of you who are scrambling for those. This is actually our problem. But from where I sit, I have worked in Lene for 21 years. There have always been jobs on table. And I've also seen people come with their children, their husbands, their wives, and come and ask us to help them find jobs. Natural fact, the one who is bringing them is the one looking for the job and not the one they are bringing. You want to stay in the house, and you don't want him to stay in the house or her. So you are looking for a job for her. She's not looking for a job because you are providing. So there are jobs. In Africa, we only listen to reports or political talk. But from where we sit in the private sector, there are a lot of jobs that we can find people to fit those roles. Because everybody is staying one side, the other side are lying down. So that is what I can say. So please, there are jobs. Don't be despaired that there are no jobs in Ghana. There are jobs. So prepare well and come out, and we'll assist you.
Lene will assist you.
Yes.
I'm curious about a point that you made about the system being reactive. I also think that job seekers and students are also reactive, where we don't scope around enough, stay exposed well enough to really understand where we are positioning ourselves in the career spectrum. And I would throw that to you, Rabna, to understand if this is an issue of self-assessment or lack thereof, or an attitudinal problem, an exposure problem with the individual job seeking, not with the system. Where does the person come in?
I think everybody's unique journey is mapped out based on, for lack of a better word, how I read the that's what we're talking about with Thomas and Ezra. We have two job seekers. They came out of school at the same time. They all have the access to the same network, the same opportunities. They don't have anybody that can open any doors on their behalf. How are they going to land the job they need to land? If while they were in school, they didn't take advantage of any internships, any career fairs, they've all graduated. Today's graduation day. How are you both going to make it into a job role? There are many opportunities. That's what Mr. La is saying. The jobs are there. It's the skill sets that is a gap difference. As an individual, the onus is on you to position yourself as the most desirable candidate. Now, the gentleman, I didn't get his name. He shared an experience. What's your name? Rigwan. Rigwan had... did I get it right?
Read one.
Ridwan. Sorry, Ridwan. Ridwan shared how he sometimes doesn't get a response. And I felt that's because I put out 2 job roles over the last month, and I got over 50 applicants each. So that's, I'm talking about the minimum. I stopped counting when it passed 50. So right now my inbox is full with over 200 applicants. And I have to go through each of them, read their CVs, because again, I didn't automate it. Because I didn't want to have the AI bias where there are certain things that somebody has that will not be able to be looked out for with the automated recruitment process. So if it's automated, you will get an automatic response that, thank you, we've received your application, we'll get back to you within this number of days. But if it's a process that we're trying to painstakingly go through because we're trying to find that unique individual, it will take some time. Now, between the time I put out the application and today, there have been 5 individuals. They have applied through the way I asked them to apply, but I put it out on LinkedIn. 5 of these individuals have sent me a DM. 3 of them tried to open a conversation and say they want to know more about the role, trying to have a conversation, really just want me to get their attention. And in the past month, I've had a lot to do at work. We had a major event we're organizing, so I've not paid attention to it. So 2 of those 3 came back to say they've actually applied through the email, as I said, but they also want to have further conversations about the job role. Now, out of the 5, 2 people just directly sent their CV again. They mentioned that they have already applied and they've seen that I'm organizing an event, which means they went to my page and noticed the event. Now, out of these, the 2 that said they've seen that the event is being organized, one of them actually came to the event, said that they are coming to the event tomorrow. They've just registered and they would like to see me. At the event, they asked for me and found me, introduced themselves to me. So 200 people have applied. Out of the 200, I have met 1. Not because the person was any special, but I've seen that this guy is irate. Even if he's not he's not qualified for the role I put out, I would give him at least experience to work in the organization, or I'd want to test out his capabilities. And these are the things, these are the Ezras we are looking for. You're not going to be okay with, okay, I'm waiting for them to reach out to me. What are you doing with what you have? You know, we're doing a recruitment this week for a role. It's a technical role, a teaching role for sports. And we got an applicant that's passionate about sports, but he works in a bank. And he doesn't have, and right now in the world of work, there are different kinds of recruitment processes. The ones that you don't need the academic qualification for, and the ones that you need to have some academic qualification. This is one of them, because you can't be teaching if you don't have some qualification to teach, right? But you said you're passionate about sports. But what you do is, you're passionate about sports, so you want to teach it. See, it's different. I'm passionate about sports, so every Saturday I'm going to dedicate my evening to playing it. He does that already. But if he's passionate about sports enough to want to resign his job in the bank to teach sports, what shows you can teach sports? Because I know my husband is very passionate about boxing. I don't think he'll teach it a day in his life. But he'll be able to have a full-blown conversation, animated, about Usyk and the last bout, and how it was, oh my God, knockout. But that's passion. But he's not passionate enough about it to be wanting to teach it, one. And he's not passionate about teaching it enough to learn or acquire the necessary skills to teach it. Nobody's stopping you from gathering boys in your neighborhood to teach them soccer. Nobody's stopping you from starting a soccer club at church. Nobody's stopping you from putting it out as a flyer on, your family page that your nieces and nephews should all come Sunday evening for soccer tournament, But if you had thought about doing all these things, when you're sitting in front of the interview panel, telling us about your passion for sports and your desire to teach it, you would have experience of teaching it. So then I would say, oh, you have some experience. You have videos and pictures to show for it. Maybe I'll put you on a 1-month probation and partner with you for you to get the qualified certification that you need. That's what Mr. Lam means when he says there are jobs. But the skill difference is what we're lacking. So if academia is not providing it, right now we have the school of YouTube. The internet is doing so much. We have ChatGPT agents that just popped up last week. You can, and these things are free. Or I don't know if ChatGPT, I think, there's a paid version, 150 CDs a month. So maybe you can decide, okay, this month I'm going to pay one, but I don't have money to be paying every month. So this month I'm going to pay 150 CDs and utilize this thing morning, afternoon, evening, get all the things I need so that when I'm out of it, I don't need it that much. But these things, the internet has a lot of free resources that you can buy into to prepare yourself for the job market. Because believe it or not, recruiters or business owners, business leaders, they are looking for people that are going to make their work easy. Their work of growing the business easy. And if you come in looking like a burden, I would choose the next person who is going to lighten the load. So in your position as a job seeker, that's why I said the onus lies on the job seeker solely. Because I've put out applications, and right now, if somebody is in this room and has applied for that job and is angry with me, I've explained why I can't reach out to the person. But out of the 200 plus people that applied, one person managed to speak to me. And it was really just a DM. They knew the venue because it was publicized and it was on my page. It shows the difference. But how serious are you about it? How hungry are you for it? How much do you want it? That's where we need to get. We need to, if you're passionate about something, you're just passionate about it because you want to be able to talk about it, yes. But if you're passionate about something because that's the career, that's the path, that's the out. I was thinking about what a career is. The channel through which you are going to express your skills, your desires, your passions, your talent. If you've decided that this is the career path I've chosen, what is fueling that? How far are you willing to go to make it a reality? And I've given examples of how you can start certain things. Yeah, so if an individual was really interested in getting a particular job, they probably would.
You have a question, a comment? Okay, good.
Oh, okay. So I do agree with her that it depends on how I read you are. But sometimes that looks different for different people. I'll take myself as an example. When I was job searching, I find it really difficult to just walk up to someone and try and network, or it wasn't for lack of skill or competence.
Yeah.
It's just not in my nature. And so I did a lot of introspection and I figured out what worked for me. I built myself in the background. I was just talking to this guy, working on Canva, doing like other little things that added to who I was. And sometimes when we're going for events, because I find it difficult to speak to people, I tag along with my brother or someone who that comes naturally to. Once he starts the conversation, I find a way to add myself into it. That on my own I can't do. But I think I just learned enough about myself and tried to use what I had and what I was good at and tag along with other people that had other things that I wasn't good at and then try to work around it. And so sometimes that I read doesn't necessarily mean bugging people but look within, what am I good at? What can I build? What can I develop? And how can I leverage on my network or the people around me to take advantage of what I can do here?
Solid. Great.
I think, like you started earlier, you stated earlier, it depends on the individual. There are some people who are skillful for this job, but they will put in the application and sit down and wait. Okay? Sometimes somebody just needs to step forward and get recognized and get somebody to push, and that is very important. Now, adding to what Rabina just said, employers or organizations have problems and they advertise the roles expecting you to come with skills to solve the problem. We are not actually looking for you to come and tell us more about our problems. So for those of us who are already working, when you are given a task or when you encounter an issue, don't just go to your boss and say, this is the problem we have. Now what do we do? I've always advised that before you come to me, if you have identified a problem, you should come up with at least one option, one alternative or two options of solving that problem. But if you come to me and just tell me like what Thomas did, and another person comes to tell me what the problem is and I think we can do this and do that to solve it, I would prefer that one. At least, no matter, I've always said, no matter how bad the option you are providing it, you must have some option. Don't just throw it down at me. Otherwise, I don't need you. So, organizations are looking for individuals with skills that will come and solve their problem for them to achieve their goals. And that is what we should have in mind. The other problem we have mainly comes from our culture. Our attitude is affecting us a lot. We go to school and we finish and we are looking for a job. When you get the job, they come and sit in it and wait for pay. They don't have any concern. You become like a messenger who have just been sent to deliver something. You go and deliver it and come back and sit down and wait. We are looking for people who come with proposals to solve our problems or to help drive us towards achieving our vision and missions. Not just for you to find jobs. But the problem we have is that we just go to school, finish, and we are looking for jobs. I think a lot of youth, the millennials, let me talk about them. I encountered them a lot. When they came out from school, they were looking to establish their own businesses. And I think it affected the transitional Gen Zs. But the main Gen Zs, they are not even ready to work. They are those that the parents bring to us to find jobs. And when they go home, they just come, I want the job. No preparation, no nothing. They don't even read about the company. When they are going, maybe we'll talk about interviews. You don't prepare. But so once daddy has brought him or her, give me the job. Or once uncle has referred, they just come and sit down, give me the job. No preparation. And that is not good enough. So some of the attitude that we have as job seekers is coming from the culture. My uncle said, as we come and see you, here, just give it to me.
Want it?
You mentioned our culture of, and I want to say something where I also find the problem. How best we can go around it. Now, I went to UCC and I learned something. Oh, you also went to UCC. Congratulations. I was out Marina. So, most of the lecturers will tell you, if you want to pass my course, write what is in the book. For my postgraduates, it was a bit okay. But for no. If you want to pass my course, write what is in the book. How does that promote innovative thinking or critical thinking or logical reasoning? Because sometimes you realize that students or learners come up with very creative ways of answering a question. But because it's not textbook bound, you'll be scored down. And I am very sure it's not limited to UCC. Okay? Now, if you follow this dogma for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, depending on what you read, you come out into the real world. Now, they're asking you to be critical, think outside the box. I have always believed I'm the black sheep of the family, and I wear it with pride. I don't even see the box, first of all. So I don't think outside the box. I think largely. How then are we able to improve our thinking capacity where we can be able to think out of the box as we are now encouraging people to? When someone has been, I don't know how to put it, boxed in, textbook, write what's in the book, write what I taught you, it ends there. What is the way forward?
You can't do anything about the lecturers. At the time, most of them have determined the questions already. So when you finish your responding to the answer, they are just going to look at what the answer for number one and mark you, right? But so that one, you can't do anything about it. But after school, the world is open to you. It is left for us to discover. So there are some things we don't have control over. But I understand how it impacts on you when you have gone through this for 3-4 years. But after school, that is why we encourage programs like this. It's one of the things that is a learning ground. You have to attend programs. And in Accra, there are a lot of free ones. I'm sure you advertise this program, and a lot haven't come. Yeah. Some prefer to sleep in the dormitory. But programs like this will help open you up. And it's also a source of networking. And for some of us, you may also have to choose mentors to help you overcome or help you open up. Choosing a mentor doesn't really mean I don't have one mentor. And I've never actually gone to sit with my mentor to interview him or her. I choose mentors based on what I want in them. And I follow to learn about. And my mentor doesn't have to be my seniors. or my superiors. It cuts across, whether you're below or high my level. I just look out for the good thing in you that I believe if I add to myself, I will be improved, right? And I do that. Beyond that, you can actually have a mentor that can sit with you and guide you. And then you also need a coach. Mostly, if those of us who watch football, the coach is not the one who can play the ball. He understands the game. But the one with the skills to play the game is a player, right? So the coach helps the player to improve on his or her skills, to deliver the best. And that is one of the things employers also need to know, or managers. If you have a team that you know how to do the job more than your team, it's a disaster for you in the very near future, right? Me, I'm a business manager. Some people refer to me as an HR manager. I'm not actually an HR manager. I manage HR business. I know HR business. I know how to get money by providing HR service.
Yeah.
But I'm not an HR manager. Of course, I've specialized in some of the HR functions.
Areas.
So I can be an authority in those areas. So you need to have a team. So for me, in my company, I have, let's say, an accountant, I have an IT person, I have an HR manager, right? I have payroll manager who handle payroll, tax, and all that. I don't have to know the job, the details of tax calculation computation more than him. If I do, then it's a problem. The company has no future. Mm-hmm. So you need to have team members who are champions and experts in their roles. But you as the leader should understand the entire business, but employ competent people who know how to handle their roles more than you, and then you can guide them towards the goal of the business. So we all need some type of cultural shift. Mm-hmm. And that is why, sorry, let's go on. I'm almost going back into my business.
I'm hearing a lot of things.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm hearing a lot of things. I'm hearing culture shift. I'm hearing mindset shift. I'm hearing taking ownership of your career path. But I think one of the myths that we would all agree at the time where we were students was that you were advised to get your A's. So your focus at the time in life, get your straight A's. We have a lot of A students, or let's say just B, fairly C, still good student in the system, who are devoid of good skill sets for a lot of career options. I'm trying to understand how, as a student or as a job seeker, say an early entry job seeker, how do I shift my mindset from academic to industry? Because you're telling us, or you're exposing us to the idea that we should be thinking of the problems that the company is trying to solve by posting this role. I have captured on to that. However, at that level, as a job seeker, do you even have enough foresight to understand what the problem is for the company? It's easy to say when you've started working and trying to shift jobs. But I get lots of students in the universities asking the same questions. They can't see like the recruiter. They can't see from the perspective of the business owner. They are heavily thinking of, let me pass my exams, then I'll figure it out. How do they also figure it out at that level without having to fully appreciate what recruitment even means?
So, to be very honest, I've worked on recruitment projects within Lene, for other organizations. I'm not looking out for the person who had the highest grade. Unfortunately, it's a myth they've taught us, but I wasn't straight A student. The straight A students I knew, I think there was someone that I knew that even struggled to get a job. She was the one that got the overall. In the school I went to, Ashesi, it was summa cum laude. That was like the highest honors. And there are times where I've known people that have gotten summa cum laude and they didn't get a job immediately after school. I had privilege because I'm from a family of entrepreneurs, so there was already a family business I should go into. I didn't see it as privilege, and I was fighting and said I didn't want to work there. I wanted to go and work at other places to discover myself and everything. Looking back, I was very, very, very young and foolish because the job market is not very. Yeah, it's not easy. So my mind, let me go and work here. Go and work where? Where are you going to work at? You just finished school. It's not even national. It was for national service. I wanted to see where I could go. I was privileged. And 10 years on, I look back and I see that gap in academia and industry exists. That's Lene, for example, we have Bridge the Gap internship program because we've noticed that gap because we're recruiting, right? So we see the gaps. We have Bridge the Gap internship program. We also have career clinics that we organize. There are ways by which students can learn when they come out. But the reality also is we're not looking for students to have the same level of experience as somebody would have 10 years after school. So you would catch my attention as a recent graduate or a new worker if you're able to show evidence of 3 years work experience in social media, for example. Everybody has access to social media. Right now, creators are everywhere. Since COVID, you can just create a TikTok page and become an influencer. But with all these things that are available to you, what have you been able to use it for? So a new student, a new worker out of school who managed to maybe work on campus with their lecturer, help with this, learn this skill, learn that, would stand out to me than somebody who got straight A's because they were spending all the time in the library learning instead of acquiring a skill, learning about life beyond academia. Because life literally is still a classroom. You don't stop learning when you graduate. You'll be a lifelong learner. So if getting an A on campus is your sole focus, like you're narrowing in on that, when you're done with, you'll be lost. When you're out of campus, you'll be lost. And that's what happens a lot of times with graduates. They're now trying to figure themselves out. I know somebody who is currently working in an agency and the person has the desire to do fashion. She has the opportunity to start a fashion brand. She doesn't know how. She's not like Mr. Last said, she doesn't have any mentor. She has not sought out the people that are making it in that field to learn from them, So she's lost. But she has so many opportunities to go through, but she can't utilize any of those opportunities. The gap exists. And like Mr. La says, if you are going to limit yourself to just what you're learning in school, you're going to create a problem for yourself really fast. We have to learn to upskill ourselves. And some of these skills you don't learn in school. There was just this week, I met some data online about what employers are prioritizing when they're hiring in 2025. It was from data that was gathered from 1,000 leading global employers who represent 40 million workers across 22 industries in 55 economies across the world. So this is the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report. And the top 5 skills that employers are looking at is analytical thinking. You see what Mr. La said? I'm looking for people that are going to think up solutions. So by the time I meet you in the interview, you should be talking like you've researched my company and you've seen this gap. And this is how you can fill it. Analytical thinking, resilience, flexibility, and agility. I'm going to speak on that. So you hire somebody and the person is hired for this particular job role. But as a business, we see that the business needs to pivot. The business needs to change its direction slightly. We need to change our strategy. But you're telling me that you are hired for Maybe you were hired to be a copywriter. But right now, we don't need just a copywriter. We need somebody that is into marketing in general. You say that because you were hired for just the copywriting, you want to stick to copywriting. There's no role for just copywriting anymore. Are you saying you are trying to resign? You need to be flexible. You need to be resilient. Resilience is being able to bounce back when there's challenges, being able to think around blocks. The third thing is leadership and social influence. Leadership being the ability to influence change, not taking posts. Because sometimes we see that people take certain posts, but they don't make any change. They don't cause any benefits. They don't make any positive change for anybody. They are just there for the title. What we're looking for is leadership and social influence, influencing people in the right direction, influencing change. The fourth is creative thinking. Think like he mentioned, thinking outside of the box. Now, and then the fifth one is motivation and self-awareness. Now, the ability to show employers that you have these 5 skills on a sheet of paper is very wild. It has to go beyond the CV. So I don't know what these days the CV templates are telling us to do. But as we're sitting here, I just thought about when you talked about how you don't have that assertiveness to speak to people that you don't know. What if you submit your CV, the written CV, and then do a video introducing yourself? And then within the video, you talk about your CV. So then by watching that 15, 30-second video, you've told me the skills that you're able to contribute to my organization, the experience to back those skills, and how you're eager to get an opportunity to sit with an interview panel to share more about your experience. That will stand out to me. Because I asked you to send your CV to this email address if you are interested by this date. That was the response. But you found a way to catch my attention and go beyond without bugging the person. Because right now, everybody is watching videos. We watch videos too much. TikTok, everybody watches videos. And videos catch attention. We've seen that with social media. So thinking outside the box, being creative in your thinking to be able to present yourself as the best candidate, it stands out. But again, as a learner, we're not expecting 5 years of experience from you. If we say we are looking for somebody with 5 or 10 years experience, then we know that we're not looking for an entry level. When they say, I've realized that thing, they'll say entry level with this number of years, they're telling you that we don't have a lot of money to pay you as a manager. That's what they're telling you with entry level. They're trying to tell you that you would start modest with the pay, but you go into the role. So then if you see entry level with 5 years of experience and you feel like you're entry level, but you don't have 5 years, but you have 6 months, come in and let them understand that you're better off taking me with a 6-month experience than the other dude that has 3 years experience and would say that they want twice what I'm willing to collect.
Yeah.
So learn the jargons. They say entry level. We're not looking for people who are fresh out of school to come and do this work we have listed. We just can't pay the person who's going to do this work that huge amount. Money. So if I'm telling you I want 4 years of experience, what you did outside of corporate counts. Because some people can do 5 years worth of work in a year. That doesn't mean you shouldn't say that I have 6 years of experience when you really just have 1 year. But you get what I mean. And the ability to sell that, because what you're trying to do with the CV is to try to catch attention enough to sit in front of them in an interview and sell yourself more. So you have to make sure you capture it all there. But again, getting the opportunities while you're a student, taking advantage of it all, and positioning yourself as the best candidate, that's what would help. The gap in academia, I cannot speak to it at the moment. I really didn't experience that because my school taught us critical thinking right from year 1. And before the school, I come from a background where we are always challenging ourselves, being assertive. Hey, everybody's talking, everybody's thinking, everybody's pushing themselves, you know. So I don't have that experience of rote learning. Maybe basic, even my basic school, that's where I learned how to do public speaking. I used to do speeches. So I don't have that experience of rote learning, but I've seen people that have come from that background and have, in spite of that, learned on the job to stand out, to be the solution in the organization. I would always use this lady as an example. She was sharing with me how she can't understand how some people are so comfortable wherever they are, because she knows where she's coming from. Her parents have a bakery, and that bakery is what has taken her through school. When she was done with school, she typed letters, printed them, and went around companies in the area to fight for an internship. She got the internship. The people were not minding her. She kept going and kept going, kept going. She picked, depending on the vibe she got from them, she narrowed in on one company, and they stabbed them until they gave her the internship, because she wanted to be able to say she has work experience. She disturbed them, so she kept coming back. Please, any feedback? Next day she go, any feedback? Like, it's like the scripture that says that the judge that was didn't want to the woman who kept going back had a case,
nobody to help, so
exactly.
She kept going to the judge.
She kept going to the judge just because she was insistent on it, persistent. He listened to her, like, okay. So that was how she managed to get that internship experience, which gave her work experience. Then once it was time for national service, she came to Lene, to insist that she wants this role, she has this amount of experience, she will be helpful. Now, she got hired in the same time that another lady got hired, and the difference was glaring. She's like willing to do this, willing to do that, learning this, learning that, up and at it. Like, at the end of the day, she got promoted after 3 years of being, she kept going up the ranks. But there was a particular year that was like a decision year, and she got a promotion solely based on merit, solely based on her attitude towards work, solely based on the achievement she had done within the work. Whereas the other lady was literally a Thomas and Era situation. The other lady tendered in her resignation at the same time that she got, because she came in one role but became so dynamic, grew within the organization. I was so shocked. She told me, when I came, they sent me to finance. So I've actually worked everywhere in this company, and she's been there less time than I have, but she's done more work than I have, because she's worked in finance, she's worked in procurement, she's worked in marketing, she's worked in here. And I was like, hey, you've really gone on? She said, yes. And you can see that she's learned it. But she's not tired of learning. She's eager to learn more. Right now, she's taking a project management course while she's working and trying to apply to go outside of the country for further. This is someone that has ambition, and she's mindful of the fact that her parents have started something. She wants to be able to take it on to the next level. So now you see that no, she's selling sobolo in the office, and she'll bring bread. Anybody wants bread for breakfast? Then there's that. The difference. So you need to know what you want and decide that I'm going to take the necessary steps to get there. So if you don't know the steps, Google it. Like, what does it take to be this kind of person? When you see it out there, okay, I can do this by this, I can do that by that. Right now, technology has made it easy for us to not think.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we shouldn't think, but you can just ask the right questions and you get the right answers. So, yes, that's...
You have to worry yourself.
Yeah, we're thinking from scratch.
But I'll add something to the entry level issue. Preparation is very important. The A is very important. Please, don't go and get D.
No.
Don't go and get D. Even though UCCD, I understand, is equivalent to most of the B's in other universities. It's the truth.
I don't understand.
Because you need to get 55 to 60 to get a D over there. So it's a reality. But the preparation is very important. Mm-hmm. We need you to be academically good at what you studied in the university.
Yeah.
You get a certificate to confirm that you learned this. It's very important. Because in the workplace too, we need people who understand statistics, right? Mm-hmm. Who can do analysis.
Yeah.
Who can calculate figures. So don't go and get...
third class lower.
A C or D and come and be competing with those people on those jobs. Mm-hmm. However, like Rabina said, we have never actually looked at whether the person has a pass or credit or the extension. No. We are looking at what you can do. So your certificates that you put plenty in your bag doesn't really matter. What you translate from it into the work is what matters. So preparation, there was a preacher who said, when preparation meets opportunities, there's a performance.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared. I used to ask my people, there's some guy who was bothering us on promotion because one of the people he came with from national service to, to executive, one person has been promoted to an officer. And he's here at an executive. He went to talk to HR, and before I realized, he was in my office trying to indicate that there was something to talk about. So I asked him, what is it? He stood and he told me that this is his problem. But you see, there's something I liken to promotion in the office. When those of us who know how to drive, when you move a car, you don't just assume that I want to go at the speed of third gear, and then you go and put third gear. Is that what we do?
No.
No. When you move the car, first gear, depending on the sound and the movement of the car and the space in which it is, the car tells you, I need to be at second gear. You don't decide. You, the driver, never decide, right?
Yeah.
So how do you move to the next level when your behavior doesn't fit? If you put it at third gear to go off, you may even bend or crash. So you prepare yourself and get ready for it. And like we said earlier, all of these internships are grounds for preparations. Some of us don't even want to help our lecturers. In fact, they are the most people we hate because they don't. And when you're also helping, when you become somebody, a utility person in the class, people feel that, and you get more grades or better grades, people feel the lecturer has favored you. But you can always help at any level. I have an example in my office. There's this Samuel Nasumo. Is my nephew, right? But he came after SS, he came to do internship in my office. So when he came, I told him, you must make yourself useful. To the extent that when you are ready to go to the university, your bosses will be telling you that when you're on vacation, come back. Make yourself valuable. Support everybody. And my brothers and sisters, it happened. Then he finished school. We arranged for him to get national service in grade school. And I spoke to him again. Do you remember? All the people he went with, they were let go. But his boss gave him a contract. Maybe the amount he even earns now, I don't earn that money. And he was made permanent after the contract. And he has been traveling all along. So when you find an opportunity, instead of complaining, you learn and support people. It's part of the network you create. You don't go and say that because we don't really look at A class or B plus and give. No. Learn very well. But during your learning, also prepare. Get some sort of experience. There are a lot of entry-level jobs that will not require you to have 2 or 3 years experience. And you have to also look out for that. Secondly, your first job may not be in your career path, but may be a step for you to prepare and move into your career pathways. So you might get a job to do as a reception. And that will give you an opportunity to then either gather some money or gather some experience or gather some network that can then move you into your main career path. And so you don't leave those opportunities when they come your way just because you are standing and waiting for a better paid job or a job only in your career. Some of us didn't really get the courses we want to do in the university, right? The university decided what to give us. I wanted to be an accountant. But later I realized that would have been a disaster. I got in my learning, even while I was in school, we learned what we call cost and management accounting. And the lecturer said the cost and management accountant will prepare the information and the managers will take decision. So I said, never. I want to be the decision maker. Somebody else to prepare the figures for me, you know. And that changed my story. Maybe along the line, I'll talk about myself in my role a little bit. Yeah.
I've heard so many things. In fact, the questions I had, I've not used 1/10 of it because the conversation is bringing them out, which I'm happy because it makes me know that the things that we want to ask, we have the answers all around us. So let's pay more attention. It's all around us. And I love this from our first episode, which was to even encourage that we ought to be mentors and mentees as well. And that was a very powerful thing I learned from that episode. Because sometimes we think that it's out of us. Somebody else around should be the one to give us. But it could be as simple as it coming from us. Just tapping into something a little bit more than we normally would. And that's even how this talk show was birthed. It started from a curiosity to know why there's a general problem and nobody's talking about it. Talking about it in a sense that let's relate to the problem together. That was a perspective. It wasn't to teach, to show only. It was to say, you are probably the same thing the next person is going through. But what's the trend? How do we find similarities? How do we find the differences? Who's doing it better? Can we learn from that person? Who is not doing so well? What can we do to bring them up? So this is a community that we are trying to make, and hopefully we can pour more of what we are learning into each other. Now, this will lead me to my last question, and I hope that I'm speaking for the masses. What do recruiters want to see on CVs to say that you are a good candidate? I'm shocked to not hear, as part of the skills expected, I'm shocked to not hear advanced education, like, say, a master's degree or a PhD. I've spoken to some managers or business owners who said they had interviews with someone who was a fresh graduate vis-a-vis a PhD holder, and they picked the fresh graduate for a seemingly mid-level role based on the persons who came out. Why do we sometimes fall so much on degree, like a master's degree or a PhD, as our level of upskilling, instead of, picking bits and pieces from different places? Mr. La, I've noticed that you have some certifications under your belt. So as part of this question, I want to understand, where does it even come in to show on my CV that I'm the right candidate? My last portion is, if, for example, I am a lawyer, and I don't know how many law students would want to take a sales role as their internship. I don't believe that's a common practice. You'd prefer to be in a law firm or in the courts or in parliament, places that we know can help your advocacy skills whatsoever. But we believe that skills could be across. Also, it could be in the most unassuming ways. The CV, how do we couch it to reflect what a recruiter could say, this is a good candidate? What are the do's, what are the don'ts? It's not to, give a template, but what puts you off as a recruiter and what encourages you is just writing. It's not the person who met you. They haven't met you before. All of them, all the applicants have never met you. How do you still see the one?
So I will categorize them into two. We have technical roles. And if you're applying for a technical role, your qualification is very important. It's like somebody going to the surgical room, right? So the same way, if you are looking for a facilities manager, there are certain safety or qualifications that you are looking at a geologist, there must be a qualification. You have to find either a certification body or educational qualification to support. So for those roles, you must prove on your CV. Then we have the the other ones that are non-technical ones. But what I will advise, what we don't want to see on CVs are the lies, especially for entry-level roles. And there are those who tell lies. Even though sometimes we catch other people, high-level people telling lies because they eye that role very much. So when you put on your CV, because actually your CV is so empty, right? You don't have enough work experience. So you want to do something to impress. First of all, it must be impressive. It has to look good, the presentation and all of that. But don't tell lies in your CV. You cannot tell lies to impress anybody. And we know, when you are lying, we know, right? Even things that you put on your CV, based on your educational qualification and your years of experience, we can tell that you are just telling lies, right? So don't lie on your CVs. And don't overpromise. So people, you're just coming from the university, maybe you've done national service, and you are telling your panel that you can work without, with little or no supervision. Then the other one is you can multitask. And then you come into the role, they give you tasks here and there, you forget this one, and then you suck yourself. So we don't want lies. Your CV should be well arranged. It has your qualification, your experience, and references that we can make. Even entry-level people say references will be provided on request. You, as when I'm looking to do a short list, and some have provided references that I can easily call. Contact numbers, everything, emails, even social media. And then you tell me that I should call you for you to then send me referees, for me to then contact them. Those things are annoying. Especially much more going on the interview, and when the panel is talking to you, then you say, as I stated in my CV, or it's my CV. Please don't do that. They know it's in your CV, but they ask you, do you think everybody on the panel had the opportunity to review your CV before? No. So when they ask you a question, just respond. But she said something earlier about the fact that she's versatile, and she prepares a CV to suit a particular job role she's applying, and that is exactly what should happen. It is very important. You can then decide to show the other experiences down there. But what is required first, please put it forward. Don't let the recruiters search for it and can't find. And you must highlight those, because these days, she just said she didn't want to use machine to shortlist the CVs for her, right? But most organizations, look, when you go on LinkedIn, you can and you post a job there, you can receive about 5,000 applications. But it's not just Ghanaians who are applying, unless you indicate that the person should be within Ghana. And even Ghana, you can have 5,000 people applying.
Yeah.
And how are you on earth? Those days when there were no applicant tracking system, ATS, companies like World Bank, IMF, a lot of NGOs, they used to box the CVs and bring it to Lene. After I've been in Lene for like 20 years, they will give it to us. That's a contract for us. Then we'll look at every CV and shortlist. And we have to give a report on why you were not chosen and why this one was chosen as a report. That's how we made our money. But these days, they use machine, they put it there. So you have to understand the job role, whatever they ask, and you have, or you can highlight them very well, because machine may just pick those ones and then include you or exclude you. So it's important you take note of the job requirements and make your application and the CV accordingly. But don't put things that you cannot defend at the interview on your CV. And apart from the technical skills, I think Rabina has already talked about it. On the panel, your soft skills will come to bear. Your communication skills, your analytical skills. There was a gentleman we were employing. We were looking for an account person who also has audit background. Within 5 minutes, we had finished the interview. Because some of the questions were like, how do you calculate SNITs or pension, employee pension? The guy just speaks as if, he's a calculator. How do you calculate VAT? And he knows the various components of VAT. Some of us don't know. VAT is made up of VAT itself, Get Fund, National Health Insurance, and now COVID. Those days there was no COVID. But this guy so I didn't waste time. I was looking for a technical person. But this same guy cannot manage even one person, cannot even fit in a team. It is his job. And for that one, 100%. In fact, you give him above 100%. But when it comes to managing a team, so he struggled in that role for a long time and had to quit because he doesn't have human relation. So you also need human relation or soft skills, analytical leadership. And when we talk about leadership, your ability to influence in a team, right? And you have to be self-aware. So some of us, you can go and learn this thing about the Johari window. Johari window model of leadership. It will help you to self-assess yourself and learn how to disclose and take feedback that can improve your skills, even at the entry level. So preparation is important. What we put on our CV is important. Much more, we should be able to defend everything we put on the CV and do the CV to suit the role. It shouldn't be general. When you throw general CV, nobody will pick it. You miss the short list and you will still be hoping. And as I said, hope will not put food on your table. Never.
I have many questions. I'll take yours first.
Okay. It's good that they asked me to wait for a while. When you stop up, it's not a question. Then they just ask that question because I used to be head of a school and other organizations. There are most teachers, when they come and they are applying for the job, they will go to the cafe and ask the person to draw a CV for him or her. And those people can just pick somebody's CV or content and just place it there. Whether the age, the height and stuff. Just to suit what they are going to do.
That's
now,
true.
when the person comes and you ask the person in paragraph 2 or paragraph 3, you say something there. Can you elaborate it for me? He said, hey, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. Have you seen? So let us all try and write our CVs and application letters ourselves. And also, when we get to work, there are people, some of us, we think we know everything. When I came in, they were just talking, I just write something about that. In our education, the school system, the practical is not there. It's just the theory. That is why people will complete school, and we have the unemployed graduates sitting at home and they are going for association, they are paying dues. Why? Because once they are in school, they are focused in the A's. Just yesterday, I won't mention the school, it's a university. I was just walking by and I heard a student say that if I have to buy food for him and get my aid here, I'll buy the food. Yeah. I was like, you don't know me, so I was just looking at her face and I was laughing. And I think that is happening in the various universities. Buy food for your lecturer to get your A. That writing exams or stuff. And these are the people, when they come to the workplaces, you see them with a tie, but they come there and they'll sleep without any good attitude and stuff. So please, let our hands be on desk when we are applying for job, like the skills. Let's learn something from the ground. Just last 2 weeks, our school cupboard just got broken. And these students went our backyard and picked some of the broken desk. The next day we saw them, Saturday, we saw them bringing saw and stuff and nails. They have done a new cupboard for their class, Form 1. Nobody taught them. These are students around 11 years, 12 years. And they have painted, and now the cupboard is in their class. JHS students. And these are some of the people, when they grow up, they have the skills there already, and they can do it. So apart from schooling, let's be educated. Wherever we get to, we have to unlearn to learn. We have to unlearn to learn. If we don't unlearn, I know it, I've been taught already, so I can do it. Meanwhile, there's somebody that who have been at that place for 10 years, and he or she knows where to pass. So please, let's all try and have the experience at home, not only in school. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before, I wanted to add to the CV thing. So, because of the time, if I'm going to go through a lot of CVs, I would want to know what you can do. And usually, sometimes what you can do is not limited to what you've done before. So where have you worked? How long have you worked there? When you were working there, what did you do? And apart from that, what else can you do? That's what Mr. Lau was saying, that we're looking for people who can be solutions to our organization. If we're looking for somebody to fill a project officer role, but then you tell us that you've handled projects in the past, but in addition to that, you're able to use Canva to design flyers, you're able to organize events, you do it in church, I would probably put you aside to have a further conversation with you to see whether you can do multiple things for me. But then, where did you work? What did you do? When it's what did you do, don't just say, you have to show the results that you led. If you didn't lead, don't say you led, because I've also seen, like Mr. La saying, people say that, they led a team of this and they championed this, that. But when I asked you, how did you champion it? You can't speak to it. So I was like, so were you part of the team? I was part of the team that did it. And usually at the end of the day, if you were part of the team and you say that you were the lead and you can't defend it, it's obvious that you were one of the loafers, the people that didn't do enough in their team. So their team probably struggled because of you. So mention where you were, how long you were there for, what you did while you were there, the influence, the change you influenced, the things you added on, the problems you solved. So that implies that when you're doing things, you should be looking to influence change, looking to solve problems, looking to say that I did this, say it with your chest, that I contributed this. There was this problem and I went to suggest to my boss these solutions and they put me in a team that we led this project and solved that problem. So these, if I were recruiting, these are the things I'm looking out for.
Rabbi, it's interesting you've mentioned that, because not many people are comfortable to put on their CVs the menial jobs that they did. Forgetting that it can be a tool.
Yeah.
I did that. I put 2 of those of my experiences for my current role. And it was nothing about law. It was nothing about my current role. Completely off. But then I realized it showed that I could be a communicator. And I didn't even notice up until after I joined the company and conversations led to me knowing more. So we think that our experiences must be good enough.
Yeah, titled roles.
Yes, we define where to work as good working experience, or what kind of work would be good working experience. You forget that you're not your recruiter. And you need to know that there are real people behind the recruitment desk. So they want to feel a sense of connection. One of the values that my company, we uphold, is humility. So we can choose a humble person over somebody who is excessively more competent. Why so? We want people we can work with who know the job but are willing to learn on the job.
Yeah.
It would shock you that recruiters will prioritize that over a chain of things you boast of on your CV. So think through your CV. Go through it. Go through yourself as an applicant. Would you hire yourself? I ask this question a lot. And not many people are assertive enough to say, you know what, I think I'm not putting my best foot forward. Should you pause on your own application or your own candidacy to assess, are you good enough? If genuinely you've checked all the boxes, you've done your bit, you've networked, you've been proactive, you've researched, you've met somebody, you've asked more questions and it's still not going through, then we can talk of hope.
Yeah.
Hope shouldn't be the first. Then it takes away you doing the work because there's a lot of work to be done. And that's why we don't even advise that you apply to 100 companies in a week. What are you applying for? Who are you applying to? Because then you're just pushing out standard CVs. You could be pushing out a catering CV to a medical company because you didn't even read. Did you read the job, the publication to see the responsibilities? Can you do the work? Should you be put there? It's an analyst role. Can you be an analyst? What do analysts do? What tools do they use? What certifications do they need? Can you be that analyst? Yes or no? We don't ask those things. All we say is, I've applied to 1,000 places for this year and nobody's getting back to me. I'm not shocked. You're doing something wrong. So should you put in 5 good applications, one would call you to say, let's have an interview. At worst, you'll not go to the interview, but at least you had a call. It means your CV was good enough to get you a call.
Yeah.
So if your CVs are not getting you any call at all, I think you should ask more questions. And that's the point of this show. We want to encourage questions in your personal life, in your professional, your corporate spaces. We believe it will be a disservice if you go through life unaware. How do you become aware? You probe, you stay curious, you ask questions, and you research. So that being said, this brings us to the end of today's episode. It has been a long conversation, rightfully so, very engaging. This is a Times talk show, and it is a conversation where we bring in industry persons to tell you what you are failing to ask yourself. We hope that with time, we can ask you more questions that will cause you to ask us more questions. My name is Jacqueline Sarkodie, and I'm your host for today. Thank you.